Good day, everyone. You're welcome to our webcast hosted by Coronation Merchant Bank. The topic of this webcast is Business of Global Trade in an Era of Geopolitical Shifts. A very important topic in these very turbulent and unpredictable times. My name is Ronald Mezapu. I'm currently the head of Treasury, Global Markets and Financial Institutions of Coronation Merchant Bank. Also, to trash out this issue with us are two customers of the bank. Very important exporters in the Nigerian economy. They are both exporters and importers to an extent, but the core of their business is exports, particularly of commodities. So they are non-oil exporters. Let me start by introducing Amin Ahmad. He's the regional finance controller for ETG Nigeria and ETG Ivory Coast. So they are cross-continent operators in Africa. He has over 12 years of experience in accounting and finance. He leads the budgeting, forecasting, and financial planning and support business development of ETG Group. He has strong academic credentials and leadership qualities. Next, I will introduce Mr. Ibidapo Lawal. He's the MD CEO of Nivea Limited. He's a seasoned entrepreneur and a business leader out of Ibadan. At this point, he's an international icon. He holds an MBA from Drexel University and has founded multiple ventures. He's been recognized by NEPC as a sectorial exporter. He's been ranked 18th by Financial Times in terms of top 100 in Africa. Under his leadership, the company champions youth empowerment, community impact, and economic diversification. So, not to leave out the lady, she's my colleague. Probably that's what I mean. Her name is Oguna. Oguna is the head of trade, international trade. So she'll be doing a lot of the presentation today. I'll take on the area of treasury solutions for traders, and I'll be asking the questions. I want to give feedback on the survey done across our businesses and listeners. We asked a core question: what is your biggest barrier to trade in 2025? The options were administrative barriers, tariffs, complexity of rules, market access, others. And the feedback we got. All right. The feedback we got, pending when the videos are up, 51% of respondents said complexity of rules is their biggest problem. 26% said administrative barriers was their concern. 11% said tariff. A lower share said market access. That's 8% referred to market access. And then 4% others. All right, let me go in towards other housekeeping functions. Let me start by introducing our guests. We'll be discussing international trade regulations. They'll be giving us insight into their experience. We'll also look at certain risks and how we can control the risk as far as trade business is concerned. We would also relying heavily on Oguna. We'll be looking at the current Nigerian trade process, digitization initiatives of the government, as far as trade engagement is concerned, and then other developments and recommendations from panel members, panelists, starting with Mr. Lawal. What items do you export?
Thank you for the question. Basically, as a firm, we do mainly mineral, tin concentrates, columbite, that accounts for about 80% of our revenue. And then we also do agricultural commodities like viscose flour, ginger, turmeric, just soya beans. Uh, those are the main products we export for now.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Samin?
Yeah. So we do cocoa beans. Also, we do sesame seed. In sesame seed, we do value addition also. So there's we do culling, edible, and natural sesame seeds from here. Apart from that, we do cashew nuts, raw cashew nuts, and we are also uh, in a in a way to produce soybean meals and the edible oil in coming 6 months time. So we are constructing our own manufacturing plant where shea nuts also be part of it apart from edible oil. So these are the uh, big commodities are available in Nigeria and we are having good market share in that and all exports.
Okay, very good. So I noticed you mentioned value addition. Okay. Mr. Lawal, I'm aware you also do value addition.
Yes, that's right.
All right. We'll speak more on that later. Okay, so imports. Majority share of imports materials are manufactured goods, followed by other oil imports. That's we on slide 10. Okay, so like I was saying, the imports as listed there. We do import some agricultural goods, but I'm sure none of our guests imports agriculture. So I'm aware that your business is export, but you do some imports. So what items do you import? Starting with Mr. Lawal.
So for us as a firm, you texted recently because of the our new venture we have coming up, the new recycling plant we just built for aluminum and copper. So as a result, we're actually required to import the chemicals we use in processing, the scraps into ingots. So we have to do import of these chemicals from, maybe India or China for production. The aluminum and copper like this.
Okay. Excellent. And of course, the equipment.
Yeah, all the machinery, what was called quality assurance equipment, and the machinery was all imported.
Okay, excellent. Mr. Amin?
Yeah, so we do few imports here as we are major in exports. So we have industrial chemical to be done by different and here we do polyol, soda ash, and we do white oil and petroleum jelly. Apart from that, we have agri products also like seed. We are importing some seeds for our agri value, and then we do a sprayers kind of importation side. So these are the few things we do. And as I just mentioned, that soya bean edible oil plant require a lot of machinery. So we are in a process to import some machinery and some gas genset.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, moving on to the next slide, speaking to trading partners, country partners. We have here listed import partners and then export country partners. So you notice that for imports, we all know the champion there is China. Second is India. Note here is on the export side, India is also prominent. So they do imports from Nigeria as well, significantly. So, Mr. Lawal, what are your trading partners?
So we see a lot of our exports, going majorly to China. China counts to a chunk of our export. And then we also have countries in Europe where we sell a lot of products to Germany, to Poland, Czech Republic, France. So our major blocks, trading blocks, is basically Asia. We have China, Malaysia, and then you have uh, what's called Mexico, and then you have the countries in Europe.
Wow, this is the entire globe. You are touching, all the continents. That's interesting. So what about US?
Well,
just Mexico.
So US in the past we used to export was in the US, but for agriculture, this can be very strict in terms of quality. But there's something called MRL levels, maximum residue levels in terms of pesticides, and so Samolina and all the stuff. So the first market is quite strict. If there's anything is wrong with the cargo, you have to either re-export back to origin. And that way, and the margins are not way better. So for us, we're at the countries where, the returns are about lenient. And then, so that's why we're more favorable to selling to, those regions.
Okay, interesting. So this is prior to the tariffs.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me start with the US itself, because this topic is quite hot. So we do a lot of exports of cocoa beans from here to United States, and it's not from 1 year, 2 years. Our group is around 75 years old. So from across all the origin, we ship to African origin like Ivory Coast, Ghana, and then obviously Nigeria, to a lot of cocoa exports to that. And and the tariff has launched. There was some uncertainty, but later on the traders, states and trader discuss, and they reached to a mutual agreement that, okay, to absorb this cost and decide a way forward. So we don't find a problem from Nigeria itself supplying cocoa, and it's an ongoing process we have been doing for years. Apart from that, our cocoa export destinations are majorly in Netherlands and France. Obviously, Belgium is also one of it, and then Indonesia. Since they're going to majorly in China and Japan. Obviously, some part of edible seeds are going to Greece as well, and some Poland as well. So import, as you mentioned, rightly from China. So these are the location we work, but ETG as a whole, we work in all the origins, so we are well connected with the destination.
Okay. All continents as well.
Yeah.
Very good. I would so you've touched on Africa. Next slide, please. You mentioned some of because the next slide is speaking to trade within Africa. Because the presentation didn't come up on time, I didn't take us through the foreign nations vision and mission. You will have seen that it's central around Africa. So part of the objective of this webinar is to really drive inter-Africa trade. So speaking to African business, you've mentioned Ivory Coast. I know Mr. Lawal's business a bit. So, but I would still ask, do you trade within Africa?
So at the moment, the answer is no. We don't actually trade within Africa at the moment.
Okay. Is there some future view?
Yes. So the plan is, consolidate on our gains in Nigeria, be quite stable. And once that is done, then to expand in other African countries and then see what we can do from there.
Okay. Very good. So, Mr. Amin, can you explain your African trade? Do you go from Nigeria to other African countries, or I know you have businesses in other African countries, so you export from other African countries, or both?
Yeah, so ETG as a whole, we do a lot of trading within Africa. Or suppose Nigeria, we export fertilizer to our Ivory Coast entity. Ivory Coast entities is exporting the fertilizer in Burkina Faso, Mali, and other nearby countries. Apart from that, we have a very good edible oil setup in other countries like Zimbabwe, Zambia, Southern Africa. So they do a lot of trade within the Africa with respect to these commodities. But obviously, the commodity that Nigeria produces cannot go to Kenya, Tanzania, because it has to go to Europe, and because the grinding plants available, process plant available. That is why the trade is not happening. Nigeria trade is very small in our books, but yeah, Ivory Coast, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Tanzania, we do a lot of trades within Africa.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So you do intra-Africa trade via some other African countries, not Nigeria. We will get there. Don't worry. Nigeria would.
Yeah, so edible oil, there is a potential when we do edible oil in coming 6 months' time. We are going to trade in a way that we export the edible oil. If we complete the appetite of Nigeria, then it will go to the other African countries for sure.
Okay.
And soya meals also.
Okay. Soya meals. Next slide, please. So we've discussed some of these barriers. So this is where we discuss trading barriers with some of our countries, export countries particularly. You've mentioned tariffs already. Now I want to zero in on ESG regulations. We all know what ESG means, environmental, social, and governance rules. I know Europe is taking it quite seriously. I think US as well, although probably under the new administration, they might be walking back a few things. But so tell me, what is your experience as far as handling ESG is concerned? Starting with you, Mr. Lawal.
Thanks for the question. So if you think about it, as a firm with our new venture, even with the agro business, you see that a lot of our buyers are very particular about, ESG. Some of them just don't want to buy the agro products that we sell only. They also want to be sure that, there are certain ESG requirements actually, adhered to. So you now have a lot of certifications like, the Rainforest Alliance or UEBT, trying to ensure that, well, even though you're actually doing ginger, you're not, there is no massive deforestation. Even though you're selling hibiscus, they want to be sure that there is no child labor. So and then just looking at what's the impact you play in terms of your environment. How do you what are you doing? So a few of this buyers are actually keen on those, and then some of them are even willing to pay maybe a slight premium if you have the certifications, and then you can see proper framework, you're keeping that you adhere to, required um, criteria. Also for us with our new recycling plant is also very important to be sure that even though we are taking scraps and then converting those into ingots, basically your circular economy, just taking care in the environment in terms of waste. They also want to see in terms of our production, what kind of pollutions are we doing in terms of the emission. So you want to be sure that, our air pollution control systems are adhered to international standards. So you see buyers before that are not interested, basically to visit your factories now. They want to come and do what they call, hot factory audits, want to be sure what's your source of power,
from their country.
Yes, they fly. Come do an audit. They want to see what's the source of power. Are you using diesel? Like for instance, so because that's considered dirty fuel. So for us, we decided to switch from diesel, even though we bought diesel engines. I think almost about 1.1 megawatt, 1.35. We had to trade everything away and then bring in gas, like you mentioned, gas generators, just to be sure that, these things are cleaner. So that's a safety, a lot of things. So the buyers for the bank, and they were like, out of the 22 requirements for CPs, I had 3 of them on ESG. The bank wants to see what is your HSE policy, what is your what's called environmental and social management framework. They want to see, what is your environmental impact assessment. I'm like, guys, you're giving me money. Why do you have to provide all these documents? But the banks are even asking, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And if you don't provide the documents, these are, you can't get the disbursement. So the banks are particular about it. The off-takers are particular about it. Even the government is also particular about it. So this is something that is very, very important at the moment. And as a family, you have to try and comply.
Okay, excellent. So from all fronts, it's been attacked.
Yeah.
Sami, what about you?
Yeah. So I'll start with this. I joined ETG in 2018. And when I joined, I got this subject, ESG regulation and management told us how important this subject is in all the Western Africa side, especially where the community produced. So we started our program called Food Peer-to-Peer Charity across the all the origins of West Africa, like Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and then later on we started in Tanzania also, where we hired almost more than 1,000 employees who closely work with the farmers, their community, and ensuring no child labor, community development, farmer premiums, its benefit to be reached to them when we take care of environmental social governance. And uh, we supply our, code to companies like Ferrero, Mortis, where the sustainability is necessary.
Okay.
So we are taking care of this very, very seriously, not only today, yesterday, tomorrow. It's from the 2018. I joined 2018, so I can proudly say that we have been doing it in Nigeria. We are one of the best actually doing
Okay.
that. So we work in Ondo, we work in Cross River, we work in Nasarawa, we work in Kanu, Gambia, Yobe State. All these states where we use the community. Our sustainability we closely work with all the farmers and
Okay.
ensuring everything.
Okay, very good news. So this at least implies that whoever is going into this business, listening to both of you, you get a sense of how seriously they have to take it and prepare well ahead. So I will ask you this question alone on warehousing solutions. Now, compared to Nigeria and then other countries, can you speak to warehousing?
Okay, so we have two port cities where we are relying to export our commodity from one country to another country. So Lagos is very, very congested. As everyone knows, a warehouse option for exports are very few. Imports, there are many actually. For import, you just need warehouse. But in export, you need a space where you can dry, really bagging and do the things which is necessary for export. So warehousing facilities in Delhi very, very few. And
For exporters?
yes, but nearby the port is also very congested in these days. However, Pune is quite open where there is still lot of potential to create big warehouse facilities, but the security concern is always there in Pune.
Mm.
And one more thing, it has been 1.5 years now. It's a Lakey port and Pune. Both states are very well connected. Where the road is there, where the containers are available, warehouse facilities are there. So yes, Ogun State is a master stroke right now, where all the export companies are over there, available facility, and ICDs are available, so you can always have the container within the same time, and you just stuff it and just send to the lake. The product cost, the finance cost is one of the critical area and these days export this. So yeah, Ogun and Pune is quite open in these days, but yeah, Lagos is congested.
Okay, good feedback. So when we conclude, we'll be talking about recommending the government. So we'll note these points. Okay, next slide, please. All right, here probably because we have less than 30 minutes to go. I know Mr. Lawal has a lot to say here with respect to risk faced by traders and how we can control those risks. So how can we make these points sharp as possible, given our running time? So can you speak to these issues of risk and mitigants?
Okay. Thank you. So if you look at it, Nigeria, interesting environment. As an exporter, well, typically abroad, we as a company, I don't know, this is not we've had companies companies in 5 countries that never got paid. Yes, I'm telling you, never got paid. So someone tells you, okay, I have a contract, and then send me documents. It's very, very. So you have to do like some sort of DD. That's very important. You have to be sure that payments is somehow. I know a lot of people do open an account where you just send documents directly to the buyer. Those I've done. If I'm sending this directly, it's like a bank call traffic door. The traffic door coming as well as the revenue. So Glencore, they all don't have a problem. But I'm sending to maybe one Ronald Incorporated. So you have to be sure. So you can just see when you have that risk of payment, the payment risk.
And I can beat my chest that these exporters before us.
What kind of payment method, considering that you're trying to meet certain risks, payment risks? So what type of payment methods you do? Yes, so you use this as exactly in both the user. For example, you have a very for problems of logic. So we say arguments for our develop and then use their level of credit, level of connection into their funds from their benefits. I can make no matter. Yeah, because why I asked this question that what we noticed is that for exports, most exporters still may open accounts themselves. They do open accounts. Most of the more extreme means of things falls on the import side. And that's because Nigeria is import dependent and they don't have enough negotiating grounds for their exports. So the exporter, the people that are importing our exports are hot in the shops on how they want to make it. So that should be reversed. That should be reversed. And how do we reverse that? If we boost our exports, we make our exports competitive, make the standards, increase the standards, ensure that we're getting our feelings. Like he said, how can someone not bring this into a country and then so those are the risks that the exporters are taking. And those are the things that these payment methods should secure. So we should, be able to push our grounds and say, no, we are going to go for letters of credit, the most secure means of payments, because on the import, like you see that the import, the exporters on the other countries who are importing these products to us are insisting that they want letters of credit. They want the most secure means. They want you, they even, some of them even give you the banks.
So I will ask this. Is this in line with your interest or tuning? Number two, this cost back down to pre-COVID levels. But I know during COVID costs went to my health.
So working in Nigeria is always costly in here. Because logistics, whether it is carrying and forwarding, whether it is any other surviving payments, these are in around COVID per metric ton of carrying and forwarding was around $30 to $32. But if you see going forward now, it is to $55 per metric. I just add the warehouses facility on everything get organized. People who provide the warehousing facility, they take the around $100,000. So it's getting expensive day by day. And yes, everyone has to take that cost. Exporters, importers, the agriculture. Yeah, these numbers are perfect, And coming back to this custom clearance time, in import side, it is worst. Because if any other things is stuck within your containers might delay for 30, 40, 50 days. So it is more manual process that will power. And we are thinking and we are hoping that it should have some sort of automatic controls to change the imports in a way that the containers can be coming out of the yard in a period of something not just time. It is happening in Ivory Coast or Ghana or anything. And logistics was, so when we first started, the first can be landing on the minor days, 9 days, when you are paying the high, interest cost here in Lagos or anywhere in the world. In a summer, it's very costly
going to necessary lines of that. We are looking for some good qualities, potential this timeline, and mostly come practically the properly based so that we can all be language. Yeah, special. So we cannot have the point down here that the finance cost in Nigeria, but other academic family groups invest lost 6%. And Peter, not a famous finance or what you mean. So there are two things failure there you have to add and you have to manage.
Okay, nice. All right, so we want to look into some of the initiatives being pushed by some of these entities. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, so people don't know. I know you are expert out to so many votes.
Yeah. So about the launch in 2019, I said after these start the phase going out from that region. It is the vast solution that it can do. So now the even you want to do something like that, you want to add little of this where this can open your own account and you don't need time to go and later on say it to complete the document is at least on the same computer and paying guilty of at the same time. I think it is again a master stroke. It usually some time to get to and you are at least again person.
Okay,
It's easy.
China. So it's being about the say. Say, I'm not thinking judging me go just the thousand country. So I feel like and put up about this. By the way, to a big hero. So this is the Nigeria people hero for 3.
Now, moving on to FX derivative solutions for trade. I'll be taking this section. Just like Amin mentioned earlier, FX volatility poses significant challenges for our business people, particularly our importers and exporters. We shall be outlining some FX solutions available to our business partners to help them hedge the currency risk and therefore protect profit margins and cash flows. We have here listed 6 different solution types. However, I'll be concentrating on some of the more exotic solutions like the forward contracts, the foreign exchange swaps, and the non-deliverable forwards. Just like I said earlier, the solutions are for both the exporters and the importers and quite similar across board. Just that they are on different sides of the transaction. So for example, the forward contract. An exporter, of course, earns dollars at the end of the trade cycle. However, the exporter wants to hedge against volatility. So in 6 months, for example, the exporter is not sure what exchange rate would be at the end of its trade transaction ending in 6 months. So they approach a partner bank and offer to sell the dollars at a forward rate today, agreed today, for delivery in 6 months. So as an assumption, they agree at a rate of 1,600 forward rate against spot rate today of 1,605. Now, don't forget that the risk to an exporter is the appreciation of the naira. So that's why this illustration shows you a spot rate of 1,605 against a forward rate of 1,600. And the exporter is, of course, comfortable with this exchange rate, which has eliminated the risk of an appreciation, a more significant appreciation in the future at the end of 6 months. So the exporter is comfortable to hedge the exchange rate volatility at this forward rate. Of course, the importer will be on the opposite side of such a trade. The importer will be looking to buy FX at an agreed rate today for delivery in 6 months' time. Now, of course, the importer wants to hedge against volatility and the risk of significant appreciation or depreciation. In this case, for the importer, it will be depreciation of the naira in 6 months' time. So here we show you as an illustration, spot rate being 1,598. And of course, the exporter's challenge is depreciation of the naira would be particularly of significant loss to the importer. So the importer hedges his risk by agreeing a forward rate of 1,602 for 6 months delivery with the bank. For the FX swap, there is also a forward delivery perspective. However, it's kind of different from the forward contract, as there is cash flow exchange today and there is also cash flow exchange in 6 months' time, for example. So the cash flow exchange is done at the near leg, and there's opposite cash flow exchange at the far leg. The forward rate or the far leg rate is computed using the formula at the right corner of the screen. The non-deliverable forwards, the NDF. Here the client buys an NDF protection from a bank. Now this defends the customer against a depreciation of the naira. So for example, the NDF contract rate at this buy was 1,650. If the exchange rate should depreciate below 1,650, the bank would be paying the client the difference of 50 naira. In this example, difference of 50 naira will be paid to the client in naira terms for a market depreciation to 1,700 against the NDF contract of 1,650. If the market depreciates further to 1,850, the bank will be paying the customer the difference of 200 naira under that NDF contract. On the buy side, the contract is a buy side contract for the customer. So a buy NDF protects the customer against depreciation. On the other hand, the customer could sell an NDF to the bank. In this context, if the market should appreciate below the NDF contract rate of, using the same example, 1,650. So for example, the market appreciates to 1,550. The bank would be paying the customer the difference of 100 naira. However, if the market should depreciate, in this example, to 1,700, the seller of the NDF would be paying the bank the difference of 15 naira. Okay, so in the NDF contract, it is naira equivalent of the differences mentioned between market and the NDF contract rate that is paid, naira equivalent. We don't have foreign exchange being paid in this instance. We have differences between the NDF and market rates being paid in naira terms. All right, so just want to give you some insight into the BMAT system introduced late last year by the Central Bank of Nigeria. It has introduced a lot of transparency to the market, and part of the reason why the exchange rate is relatively much stable compared to earlier last year. So the B match system, which is also known as the Bloomberg match, is designed for interbank market transactions. So under the B match, it's only banks that trade among themselves. The market opens between 9 to 4 every working day. Minimum trading amount is $100,000 with incremental clips of $50,000. It is strongly regulated by the CBN, who has oversight of the platform every second of the day. The Bloomberg match system has increasingly been adopted across the globe. Kenya adopted it earlier in 2024. Azerbaijan had picked it up since 2023. And we have other hosts of countries that have adopted the system. So this is what the interface looks like. On the left side of your screen is a list of bids, that is buyers, and then on your right side is a list of offers, which is sellers. And you will notice the range in terms of the order. On the bid side, the order is descending. You have the highest bids at the top, and opposite for the offer side, you have the lowest offers at the top. So when the highest bid matches with the highest offer, there's a trade-off. Those transactions match and the trade is done. So for this example, you can see that the highest bid was at 1,586, just 4 naira shy at matching the lowest offer. Here we're proposing that you own federal government Eurobond assets, only the Nigerian federal government Eurobond assets. As patriotic Nigerians, that's what we are recommending. You own these assets, and rather than sit on them, use them to raise cheaper dollar liquidity to do your transactions. So this illustration is a repo. You repo your Eurobond assets to get cash liquidity to carry out your trades. In this illustration, we're speaking to swaps. You swap your FX Eurobonds for dollar liquidity or for naira liquidity. And then at the end of the transaction, you swap back and get your Eurobonds back into your portfolio after returning the currency raised. In this illustration, we are speaking to using the coupon, buying Eurobond assets that the coupon payments match your future cash flow expectations and liabilities. So you buy these assets and you earn coupon that you could use to meet your FX obligations as they fall due. And this is just illustration of how to use the Eurobonds to manage your trade activities and meet your FX obligations. So we'll move on to FX focused.
It's the same process where they are trying to surround the inputs process using platforms so that everybody is able to view what is happening with the documents and all of that. They are trying to bring in stakeholders into that platform. So they are basically the same. It's basically the same.
Please. So for the interest of our viewers, this is just one view of Nigerian single window. Next slide, please. Okay. So now then also another push was e-invoice. E-invoicing. Okay. I think we champion this thing.
When did your invoice and thinking that the right price and we taken while I'm smoking it. So it's a good start actually. And we be very fair if your purpose is not correct and if the commodity is not getting right money in the bad rate, it is not a figure. And we support this start this is also in line of what other probabilities are doing or what the this invoice or invoice that whatever the market is, your price has to be competitive and it's fast to enough and right forex has to be under so we support this.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Next slide just shows these graphics on how it will work. So that implies that you have the e-invoicing solution. Please. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is what this is the drive. When some of this, we should learn those people know the derive of information very now available from people other than next slide. Some providers people cities yeah, but so go back now. Alright, so we're starting with our forward contract. So again, an exporter, I'm looking to sell FX forward. So you have a view as well rates might be. Negotiate with the bank probably shares the same. And you feel you are comfortable with these rates. You sell forward 6 months forward, 9 months forward, in line with your shipment tuition. And we agree on the pricing. And then we change currencies at the maturity dates. Okay, so the example, if you put players, you and an exporter are confident about application. So we are saying here that the spot rate is 16 or 1,605. But I've set it at 1,600. Share the same it's still that. It's more. We are comfortable with that. We move on. This is the view of an importer. Of course, importers concerned in this issue. So, current spot rates 1,598, move forward of 1,602. After it's the pounds to exchange cash flows at the allocated rates. The respective of works spot rate is. So, next slide, please. Now, this is element 4. It's it has transaction spots, which is on the leg, and then the far level. So the currencies we exchange at the near leg, in the reverse at the far left. What drives the pricing of the swap is the different interest rates on the various currencies. That's what we call interest rate pressure. Formula to derive that it's Naira interest rates minus Naira equivalent of the like interest rate. Okay, next slide, please. Also interest from time. Okay, now this is the NDS. NDS is, did you use NDS?
Yes, so we do forward looking also.
Okay,
We were the first one started forward looking. And we have seen 2020 we are very new post. Obviously, like rates are not so under parity.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it is a very good solution.
This is
Our
just the level of situation country saw.
yeah,
Scared everything whether with so but it's something that we should look at again.
absolutely.
Next slide, please. We're running out of time. So next slide, bill match was introduced. Next slide, just to show the viewers. Next, this is what the pop-up looks like. So we have the bid towards your left as viewer, and the offers that towards the right, and you see the arrangement. So just go through that as a few times. Next slide, please. Here we're looking at how you can reduce cost for borrowings. If you have, next slide. So here we're speaking to if you have some dollar investments.
Yeah.
Near cash, and use it to secure growth and then negotiate global pricing. It's secured. Also, continue to get in the trend. So you can do a repo. Next slide. You can do FX swap with the securities. So you get cash on the security. Next slide, please. Plan liquidity planning with the coupons. Next slide. Next slide. So, next slide, please. So, in terms of FX and trading deals with African nations, we can get a few trade area implement because so this is just highlights about that. Next slide, please. This is PAPS. PAPS is Pan African Payment Settlement System. It's powered by a French bank. Those shows how payments is currently. Next slide. Now with PAPS, it's taking out a lot of layers in terms of payment flows and also ability to receive payment in local currency. They also have the ability to receive dollars, dollar transfer in PAPS.
As in,
No, it depends on the parties, the corporates, the individuals, stuff like that. They have a system. So, next slide, please. Running out of time, I think. Now, on that part, to PAPS has, go back one slide. It's PAPS has the market solution. Then side, under the marketplace solution, contingent bringing together big corporates, and then big corporates. Here is no dollar abuse. So we need Kenya shillings, you need naira, and perhaps being a middle deal with trained by barter. So that's the solution there. Next slide, please. This is just more insight as to it works. And it's all right. So we've had a lot of recommendations already. Can we just recap with your insights as to how we can move forward? Policies that can be top, how they your recommendations for forward. Okay, so I know that one of the policies that I just did some people have used it. But that was a catalyst for Libya because we're like, okay, this is what the government is saying. Government is saying we don't want to export products. If export semi-finished and finished, we're going to support you. And even in terms of the EGOs, which is also there, even there's one that I see there. That's by the Nigerian and International, that's by the Nigerian, even the last thing you pay for it, like even the last thing you regular, and like even the last thing those policies help to actually decide as a firm to be willing to take on capex investments. Yeah, the factory set us up a significant amount of money, but we're willing to pursue it because that the benefits would actually, really drive. So for the environment, foreign exchange for Nigeria as a country, also creating jobs. We were also, boosting, contributing to tax revenues in terms of CIC or PDP, either state and federal government. So it's the policies, I won't, even the deployment is on pretty bad, there was 200. But at least they should do something, even because like the frequency also helped because it was done quarterly. They're not thinking like EEG, you do something from January to December and then you wait 5 years, might not get it. I don't know the last time, I don't know if you want him to, but this, I would just encourage the government to put in, to come up with policies like this or, honor what they have ongoing. Yes, and now they'll stimulate exports. That's the next already. Okay. So we touched on very important aspect. We have some good policies, but execution. All right, very good. Mr. Amin, can you speak to other recommendations that have not been said so far?
So, as everyone is aware about the NPR rates in Nigeria is quite higher in compare of other countries, and there are no chances. We can see in coming 6 months that the NPR is going to get little bit relaxed. So in view of that, if some of the manufacturing industry or most of the manufacturing industry are adding any sort of value addition in Nigeria, they're eligible to get some sort of lower loans or lower USD loans. If you are not providing RT200, we understand. They're not providing EEG, we understand. But some of the relaxation has to be done who are doing the value addition, and manufacturing industry will get if manufacturing industry are getting such things, the more job creation, more community development, more investments to be flow in Nigeria. One truth is, yes, last 1 year we can say a lot of stability, and now 6 months is more of the stability side, and because of the investments and the confidence of the investor, the Nigerian trade deficit is now became the surplus actually. So in view of it, government has to provide some sort of lower loans to the people or to the companies like us, who are doing value addition to a lower USD loans or lower Naira loan to create more value in the country.
Whatever the current lower rates.
Yes.
Okay, that's
if you are not able to provide RT200, the same benefit. So there is an indirect help you can always do for industries like export.
Okay, I think the industry is listening. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'm sure that our viewers Had a very interesting time listening to our guests and my colleague. On my own part, I rushed through the treasury solutions. Also, time, but you have the request with you. So just once again, want to thank our invited right at the beginning. The video wasn't up at that point in time. So yes. So once again, I want to thank Mr. Amin Ahmad. Mr. Amin, I met him a while ago, and he's such a humble professional. And giving us the insights. So you've read through his profile, please, because of the interest of time. Next, let's go to Mr. Lawal. Yes, Mr. Lawal is the CEO of Niger. Now, you've heard his story. He started off 18 years ago, and what's even going through all these hurdles, exporting and not getting paid. He has arrived where he is today as a very successful entrepreneur. He's pushing growth for the youth as well. You can see his hobbies. Of course, being a successful person, he has to go into public speaking. And he's also very, very passionate about helping our women. All right. So that wraps up the webinar. Thank you for your time. And we thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Please. Now, question. I think we'll go through some questions. I'll try to rephrase this question. It goes, what does this mean for indigenous industries into agric, who typically rely on exports for goods? Now, let me see. What's the precursor to what does this mean for indigenous? Okay. Let me move on to another question. Let's talk about your lawyers.
Okay.
What is it that you pay for the technical of advice?
So, first of all, our leaders are having a lot of, insight because they sit a big forum, they sit in Dubai, Mauritius, time to time they going to GTR and the big, PFIs, forum, and they are collecting all the data. When this US tariff is being announced, we were aware that this is going to come because our leaders have informed, and time to time they are giving us very nice insight. And they are also encouraging us to, attend such forum where you get the more, information, the data. Obviously, you mentioned that Nigeria has very few trade seminar within the country. So, if we wanted to add something in our knowledge, we should be pay something to get that. It is a very simple thing, and everyone has to do. And as a teacher, I'm little privileged that my leaders are, time to time having calls and, visiting, our CEO is visiting next month. We are going to sit with him and then he's going to provide more information on that.
Okay, that was good. Now speak about what you do with lawyers.
So, just generally, like you said, and I look at it, it's very important as a friend to ensure that you get the best advice as possible. Even if you're trying to buy a property and you're trying to give from legal advice to your financial advisors. Financial advisors will also be able to help you, in terms of how you can from maybe better terms in terms of pricing. Also, the lawyers, when it comes to even your buying property that you want to use without the person battery, ensuring that the land is unencumbered, and even looking at even sometimes you read some of your contracts, your export contracts, and you can tell how I think that this we should have this or take out that. Because the kind of agreement you're entering into also is quite important. That determines whether you get paid, where you can have arbitration, or something. So, but overall, just in terms of pay, people should not be reluctant to pay for one. Like as a firm, you have to be open to that. We usually tell investment bankers where possible, even though you might get a small frame. Use the best lawyers where possible. Use the best tax advisors where possible. And it's just even in terms of banks, anything, because it helps. Because if not, like they've worked with the big boys. They can tell you, I think what you're doing, there's a solution, right? For your imports, I think you can do NDS, right? But if you're just talking to maybe someone that is not that experienced, you don't have that information. So it's very important to be willing to pay. They will charge you, or you're going to get value. The money they're charging is nothing considered to private. Yeah.
Very well put.
So, the banks are the wisest people actually. And they time to time provide good knowledge to us, good proposal, opportunity. So thank you as always.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging us. So we've done a lot of business. We've done treasury solutions for you. We've done financing solution in terms of first investment bank. And again, so wrapping it up, I think we've gone through all the questions. So once again, I thank you for making time to be with us this afternoon, for your insights and our message you've shared to our listeners and myself and the owner as well. Again, we appreciate our listeners for joining us on this webinar, and we hope to see you again soon. All right then.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
I will